Femke Bol just did something almost nobody saw coming. A world record has survived for over 40 years. No woman has ever run the 800 meters faster. Then this hurdles champion, with almost no background in the event, decided to challenge it herself. She lined up next to the fastest woman alive. And what happened in London changed everything we thought we knew about this race. Let's go back to 2023. Femke Bol had just won her first world title in the 400-meter hurdles. She was already one of the biggest names in track. Fast, dominant, and seemingly unbeatable in her event. She broke the indoor 400-meter world record 3 separate times, eventually running 49.7. That record had belonged to Jarmila Kratochvilova since 1982. Bol didn't just beat it, she rewrote it. For years, everyone assumed Bol would keep dominating the hurdles. She had speed, she had power, and she had one of the smoothest strides in the sport. But then she made a decision nobody expected. She decided to leave the hurdles behind and move up to the 800 meters. This wasn't a small change. The 800 is one of the hardest events in all of track. It needs raw speed, but it also needs pacing, patience, and the ability to fight through pain when your legs are begging you to stop. In the 400 hurdles, every runner stays in their own lane. There's no bumping, no jostling, no fighting for position. The 800 is nothing like that. Runners break into one shared lane after the first turn, and elbows, contact, and sudden pace changes become part of the race. Many athletes who try to make this switch fail completely. Bol had never trained specifically for this distance in her career, and she had almost no experience running inside a tight pack like that. Her first race over this distance came in February, an indoor time trial where she ran 1:59.07. It broke the Dutch national record on her very first attempt. People were impressed, but plenty of experts said running fast indoors is one thing. Racing outdoors against the best in the world is a different challenge completely. Bol answered that doubt fast. In June at the Ostrava Golden Spike, she ran her outdoor 800 debut and clocked 1:57.13. Then she kept improving. By the end of June, at the Paris Diamond League, Bol crossed the line in 1:55.60. In just 4 races, she had gone from 1:59 to 1:55. That kind of improvement almost never happens at this level. But here's the twist. In that very same Paris race, Bol didn't win. She finished second. The woman who beat her was Audrey Werro of Switzerland, and what Werro did that night stunned the entire sport. Werro ran 1:53.80. That's the 3rd fastest 800 meters ever run by a woman. It also made her the first woman in over 40 years to break the 1:54 barrier outdoors. She had already done it once before, running 1:53.98 just weeks earlier in Stockholm. 2 sub-1:54 runs in one season, from a 22-year-old who was barely known outside Switzerland a year earlier. Now here's where the story gets even bigger. While Bol was making her move up in distance, another athlete was already sitting at the top of the world. Keely Hodgkinson, the Olympic champion from Great Britain, had spent years being the best 800-meter runner alive. And early in the year, she did something historic of her own. At an indoor meet in Lieven, France, Hodgkinson ran 1:54.87. That broke the indoor world record, a mark that had stood for 24 years. She became the first woman in history to break 1:55 indoors. She went through the first 400 meters in 56.01, then closed with a brutal final lap to seal the record. A few weeks later, she backed it up by winning the world indoor title in Poland. So by mid-year, 3 women were rewriting the history books in the same event. Hodgkinson had the indoor world record. Werro had the fastest outdoor time of the year and the 3rd fastest in history. And Bol, despite having almost no experience in this event, was somehow keeping pace with both of them. This all set up one of the most anticipated races of the entire season, the London Diamond League. Hodgkinson, racing on home soil in front of a massive British crowd, was set to face Bol for the very first time in the 800 meters. Werro wasn't in the field, but her performances earlier in the summer had already changed how everyone viewed this race. The talk everywhere was simple. Could Hodgkinson finally break the outdoor world record, the 1:53.28 that Kratochvilova had held since 1983? That record is the oldest one left in outdoor track and field. Kratochvilova ran it in Munich in 1983, and the way she ran it still amazes coaches today. She went through the first lap in 56.82, then somehow ran the second lap even faster, closing in 56.46. Normally, Normally, runners slow down badly in the second half of an 800. Their legs fill with lactic acid and every step gets harder. She did the opposite. She sped up. To this day, doping questions still follow that performance, since it came during an era of state-run doping programs across Eastern Europe. But Kratochvilova never failed a drug test. Nothing was ever formally proven against her, and the record has simply never been touched since. Going into London, Hodgkinson's own personal best sat at 1:54.33. That's still 2 seconds slower than the world record, but with the form she was showing and a home crowd behind her, many believed this was her best shot yet. The build-up wasn't smooth, though. Hodgkinson had a fall in training just days before the meet, leaving cuts on her knees. Her training partner and close friend Georgia Hunter-Bell, who was also entered in the race, pulled out sick the day before. None of that stopped the London Stadium from selling out, with fans coming specifically to watch Hodgkinson chase history in front of them. So what actually happened when the gun went off in London? Hodgkinson won the race. She crossed the line in 1:56.21, holding off a hard closing charge from Bol, who finished in 1:56.45. It was close, it was competitive, and it confirmed that these two are now genuine rivals in this event. But the time tells a different story than the hype did. This wasn't a world record attempt. It wasn't even close to Hodgkinson's own personal best. After the race, Hodgkinson was honest about it. She said winning mattered more to her than the clock that day, and that she wasn't chasing fast times in that particular race. It was a tactical battle, not a time trial. The blistering early pace many expected never came. Instead, it became a real race, decided by who could finish strongest in the final 100 meters, and that runner was Hodgkinson. For Bol, finishing second in her first ever head-to-head against the Olympic champion in only her fifth outdoor 800-meter race is still a remarkable result. Remember, this is someone who spent her entire career mastering hurdles, not learning how to fight through a pack of runners with no lanes and no rules. Hodgkinson herself said as much before the race, calling Bol's decision to switch events brave, and admitting the hardest part for Bol wouldn't be speed, it would be learning racecraft in an event where positioning and timing matter as much as raw ability. So where does this leave the world record? It's still standing at 1:53.28, more than 4 decades old. Werro remains the biggest threat to it right now, sitting at 1:53.80, just half a second away. Hodgkinson has the talent and the indoor record to prove she's capable of something historic too, but London showed that even the best in the world can't force a fast time when the tactics of a race take over. And Bol somehow is now a legitimate part of this conversation, despite having run this distance competitively for less than half a year. Her rise has been one of the most unusual and impressive stories in recent track history. Nobody expected a hurdler to be trading blows with Olympic and world champions in the 800 within months of switching events. This rivalry is only getting started. Hodgkinson has her sights set on the European Championships next. Bol continues learning this new event one race at a time, and Werro, sitting just outside this latest showdown, remains the fastest woman in the world this year, waiting for her next shot at history. The oldest record in track and field is still unbroken, but for the first time in over 40 years, it genuinely feels within reach, and it might take all 3 of these women pushing each other to finally bring it down.